This is Jeremy from Touche Amore, and this is Rock Forever magazine.
Hey guys, it's Tori from Rock Forever magazine, and I am here right now with Jeremy from Touche Amore. How's it going today?
It's going all right. Not too bad.
Going all right. It's a bit of a gloomy day in Orlando, but we're still having a good time. Rain ain't stopping us, right?
I'll take it. It's been snowing every day, so this is very nice.
That's true. The rest of the country is frosted right now, so we're doing all right. Yeah. Well, we are going to start with some finished sentence for you, so you ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right. Now, the highlight of your career so far was when?
There's been quite a lot.
It's good that there's a lot to choose from then.
It's hard to choose. Most recently, I'd say getting to tour Japan.
Oh,
it's
really?
It's some place I never thought I would see a lot of places, but Japan is like top. Like that just seems so far-fetched. So
it is. It's a totally different culture from the United States, that's for sure. But I mean, what was it like for you to be in a totally different place, touring like that? And
I mean, if you don't have, it's pretty hard to get around if you don't have someone showing you the way. And
that is a good point.
And helping you out and stuff. But it was just an unbelievable place to be. Just the city lights and how busy it is, and they definitely have the best record stores.
Really?
Ever.
I never knew that. Now I know. And now I want to go to Japan even more than I did before.
It's insane.
Because I've heard it's pretty amazing. So now they have good record stores.
Yeah.
That's it then. And now the biggest challenge you've overcome as a band was?
I don't really know. We don't really do anything that's that like puts our lives on the line or anything like that, other than maybe like touring in this time of the year where it's you go. Biggest challenge is driving from Denver to Salt Lake City when the mountains are icy and snowy. That'll be my answer.
That sounds frightening. And as a Floridian, I've never had to experience that, so I don't even know.
This tour has been the scariest tour we've ever been on. And then from Salt Lake to Boise, another scary drive. Boise to Seattle it took like 16 hours. Just because you're driving 25 going over mountains and your whole van is doing this the whole time.
I would have a heart attack. I don't know.
Not fun.
How did you even make it to Florida? That's a miracle.
But then you show up when you're driving, you're thinking, I hope this is worth it, and then you show up at the show and then it's incredible. So you're like, okay, this is worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard the crowds have been really good on this tour, and I mean, tonight is sold out, so that's proof of it.
Yeah.
And now I guess this is sort of a similar question, but the craziest moment on tour happened when? Do you have any really crazy stories in particular?
It's that's like one of those questions that when you're asked, you're always just like, do I? So much happens every single day that sometimes you don't even really. It doesn't always register. Or you're just like.
What happened?
A kid last night though jumped at me fingernails first. I don't know if this is still there, but
it's there.
So there's that. Please, if you're gonna go at my throat, trim your fingernails, please.
Hey, you got to keep it hardcore, right?
I say that as like I haven't trimmed my.
Oh, well then. And last one, the biggest misconception about the band is
how to say our band name.
Really? How have you heard it pronounced? Because I always thought it was pretty self-explanatory. Touche Amore. I don't know.
I mean, we've been called all sorts of things, but a lot of people think it's Touche Amore, which is fine, I mean,
it's not that
It's not like, but yeah, we've had plenty of bands we've been friends with and toured with for a while who still call us Touche Amore, so it's fine. But yeah, that's an easy one right there.
And now we got to talk about your album, Is Survived By. It's out right now, came out last year. And I know the overall theme of the album is mortality and just what you're going to leave behind for the world. And that's a pretty heavy concept, So were there any experiences in your life or maybe epiphanies you had or anything like that in your life that inspired this?
Just getting older, I turned 30 while making the record, which was like kind of like when you're in your 20s, you still act like a teenager, and I feel like being involved in like punk and hardcore music stunts your growth anyway.
Oh, it's so true.
Where like you just forever have this idea that you're a teenager, like I still act like I'm 16 years old, which is not necessarily, some people might say it's a good thing, some people might not.
Hey, embrace it.
But it was one of those things where it's like, all right, I need to start looking at bigger picture things and what I'm doing and the effects I'm leaving behind on myself or other people and all that type of thing. So that's sort of the all-encompassing idea.
And so, keeping along the lines of the theme of the album, what is the legacy you guys want to leave behind as a band?
I just like, it's a tough question. I would just like, for people to think that we never took anything for granted, and we just stayed true to what was important to us from the very beginning, which is pretty much just tour as much as possible and put out as many things on vinyl as possible. It's like really pretty much the only two things we've ever cared about. But just be good to everybody. Don't make sure everybody who's coming to see you play feels like they can be a part of something without feeling alienated. Like all those sorts of things. Like just we try to be as welcoming to everybody as possible. And so we continue to want to do that.
Yeah, I know you hear a lot of fans, I mean, even with your band, but others too, that they go to a show and they feel at home.
Yeah.
So definitely what's going on with you guys. And your lyrics seem very personal, and I feel like that can be quite a scary thing when you're writing about such personal things in your life. So have you ever second-guessed a song or considered what other people are going to think before you release new music?
Yeah, sure. It's happened. And I have rewritten things before where I've been like, maybe not that much, but I know I've said this before, but it's like I feel a responsibility where if someone is giving me their time to listen to our record, that I don't want to hold anything back. Like I want to be as open and direct as possible. So that's kind of what I've done. I'm not a very like open person in the sense of like I don't openly talk about a lot of stuff I go through, so this is sort of my outlet for it. And then if people can connect with that or relate to that in any way, that's awesome, because then when you have people singing those words back to you, you realize maybe you're not alone in those situations too. So yeah,
that's a very good point. And one song in particular called Harbor I was quite interested in. What's the inspiration behind that song, the story behind it?
A lot of different things.
I chose a complicated one.
No. It's sort of, it's definitely, it's more based around a love. It's like a love song basically, but which I really haven't written many of. But realizing the way I've behaved in the past, and which is mentioned in a couple songs on the record, and how experiences I'm going through now have altered them, and to trying to be a better person.
Interesting. Now I know. Now I want to listen to the song again and really think about what you just said.
Yeah.
And there are not many bands in the punk and hardcore scene that even last long enough to release a third album.
That's true.
And you guys, 7 years later, are stronger than ever. So what characteristics of the band do you think have, made your fans so loyal and contributed to your longevity?
I don't know. It's funny, as you were saying that, I was like, has it been 7 years?
According to Wikipedia, it has.
Well, it's funny. Like, if I could go back, I would actually make it say that our band started in 2008, but we've had this thing latched on to 2007. Because I guess in 2007 we started like trying to write songs together.
Oh.
But we didn't. I like to think a band becomes a band when they play their first show.
Oh,
totally. And they have music recorded, which was 2008, which was like February 2008.
So 6 years.
6 years. Because I think it was like November of 2007 where like the whole band wasn't even together yet. It was like me and the original drummer and the original guitar player started to write together. And those two aren't even in the band anymore.
Oh,
so,
well then.
Yeah. I guess I can be a little disagreeable. I don't know. You are right that a lot of hardcore bands, punk bands, don't make it to the third record. Usually the third record is kind of the one that alienates everybody.
The downfall.
Exactly. So the fact that we got to write a record that people seem to appreciate and latch onto is really exciting. I feel like Parting the Sea is going to be our staple record for a lot of people, which is totally fine. Totally okay with me. It's a record that we're all proud of, but if we're able to keep doing it and people are still there to want to listen, do it as long as we can.
Good. Good to hear.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any specific part of the band that has made people sort of attached to you guys versus other bands?
I think it being a lot more melodic. I mean, it is still abrasive in the fact that the songs are, over the time have been, short bursts of whatnot, but I think having lyrics being relatable to people growing up, I think is a thing. Like I know a ton of my favorite records growing up are ones that I could relate to, and also were more melodic, so it's like a little easier to get into, things like that. And also we've been very fortunate and lucky to teeter this line of being able to tour with bands like Converge, Coalesce, Envy, bands like that, and then also being able to tour with bands like Circa Survive and AFI and Rise Against, where we can go in and out of playing like with the really abrasive bands, and then also almost radio rock bands.
True.
So we are very fortunate in that. So if we keep that up, that's cool.
I think that would be cool.
Best of both worlds.
Yes, absolutely. And I read an interview, I think it was last year, that you were saying that you guys would never play Warped Tour, basically, because you're not really a fan of 95% of the bands that are playing on that tour.
To be completely honest, when that interview happened, it was like a random, like that. If I known that's what the focus of the interview was going to be about, I would have probably put a little more thought into it. To say 95% is a little unfair because there's a shit ton of ska bands on there. So I don't think ska bands are misogynistic. But there's just a lot of the things that mainly draw at Warped Tour are things that we just don't want to be a part of. Bands that have lyrics and things like that just make just degrade women and things like that, are just like macho stuff that we don't have any connection to and whatever. And an argument to be said is like, we could be the band to stand up against that at Warped Tour and whatever, but I don't feel like we need to martyr ourselves to have a terrible summer playing that when we can still just go out and do what we do and play with the bands that we respect and on our own, So, Warped Tour, it's a machine. They know what they're doing, and it, who's to say they even ever wanted us to play too? Like it was just a statement made. I think we just want to continue playing with bands that have a positive message and make everyone feel comfortable. If we were to play a set where, you can't choose what time you play every day on that festival too. So like, if we're playing all of a sudden before or after a band that, is degrading women, and then we go up there and have to play knowing that maybe someone who was there for us had to just sit through that, I would feel responsible in a way, and it would make me feel terrible. So I'd rather just not be a part of it.
Yeah, I have so much respect for you guys for standing up for what you believe in, really, and not taking part of something that you don't like. And you're looking out for your fans, I think. I think it's pretty cool. But what sort of characteristics do you look for when you think of a band that you want to support or you want to be associated with? Looking at this from a more positive note, you know what I mean?
I think a lot of the bands that we are affiliated with all have those same ideals, and it's funny because it's ideals that no one has to even speak on, because it just seems like it's normal behavior if you're a good person. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't live your life making people feel bad about themselves, or treating people like objects. It's insane to me. So bands like La Disputed, Title Fight, Pianos, Sea Haven, Me Without You, Caravels, Drug Church, everyone who's been on this tour, everyone that we've ever toured with have been just people who are raised in punk rock with the right punk rock ideals and understandings and politics that you don't even have to speak on, because it's just what you grew up knowing. I don't know what these people who are on the other end, where they came from, where they think that's okay. I don't understand it, and I never will. But.
Yeah, exactly. And you guys are on tour right now with Me Without You, a lot of great bands as well. What are your plans for right after this that your fans can look forward to?
This is the last night of this tour, and then we us, Sea Haven, and Caravels go to South by Southwest in Austin.
That's a big deal.
So we tour out there, we play Tampa tomorrow, the three of us, and then we'll go home for a month, and then we go to Europe for a month. We're doing a couple festivals, like Rose Rock and Primavera Festival in Spain. We've never been to Spain, and the festivals with The National and 9 Inch Nails, Arcade Fire, Pixies.
No big deal.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So
that'll be amazing.
Very excited for that. So that's the plan for now.
So now, I didn't realize that tonight is the last night of the tour. So impromptu question: are there any pranks for the end of the tour? Do you guys do that?
We have in the past, but I don't think
it's never too late.
Yeah, there's there's certain bands you can tell right off the bat where you're like, this band could be fun to prank. Me Without You is such a serious and incredible band that I wouldn't want to mess that up at all.
Don't mess with them, I guess.
They have such a strong message about their band that I would feel really bad messing that up. Whereas like bands we've toured with in the past, it's just like, oh, this will be fun, this will be easy.
All right.
Like we pranked Circa Survive, but no one even knew it. We did it off stage. Because the last night of the tour they were filming for like something like a DVD or whatever. So we were like, we can't mess that up. Like that's going to be on film. And their tour manager told us before the set, like, don't do anything. So we stole on the tour they blew up gigantic balloons and threw them in the crowd always. So we had ordered we found what brand they used, so we ordered our own. And the original prank idea was because they released 20 every night and it was mayhem, we were going to blow up an extra 50.
Oh, no.
So there would be 70 and it would just be like chaos. But instead we got the code to their tour bus and filled their entire tour bus with the balloons and streamers and stuff to where you couldn't even walk inside.
That is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, so that was the plan.
And I hope one day somebody will fill my car with balloons because that sounds like a beautiful experience.
It's pretty harmless.
True, that's true. But I appreciate you guys are keeping it cool tonight.
Yeah.
Keeping it cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for hanging out. Has been really awesome. Everybody watching, make sure you check out Touche Amore if you haven't already. Is Survived By is on iTunes right now. Subscribe for more interviews, and I will see you next time. Bye.